Lunar Princess Ranni of the Carian royal family had once been an Empyrean, a title that could only be shared by two other demigods, Migala and Melania. The Greater Will, acting through their envoys, the Two Fingers, had elected Ranni as a candidate to succeed Queen Marika, to become the new god of the coming age. To ensure she stayed the path chosen for her, the Two Fingers sent Blaidd, a skilled half-wolf swordsman, tailored to be her loyal servant. Though as prestigious was the appointment planned for her, Ranni refused to be controlled. She was to choose her own fate, and so she began a dark path. She stole the rune of death and slayed her physical body, ultimately freeing her soul from its Empyrean flesh. From that moment on, the Two Fingers had continued to curse her, sending assassins in the form of baleful shadows to hunt her down. With her displaced soul being bound to a ceramic doll, Ranni was inhibited by the limitations of her physical form. She relied wholly on those who had chosen to follow her, Blaidd, her ever-loyal shadow, and Iji, her war counselor. The Tarnished, too, would soon join her inner circle of confidants, all of which were entrusted to aid her in her journey. The course of action Ranni had to take was clear. In order to secure her fate, she would need to kill the Two Fingers that were hunting her, but she would first need to acquire the Fingerslayer Blaidd in order to do so. The blade was kept guarded in Nokron, the Eternal City. It had been instrumental in the high treason committed there, and only those with a fate could wield the blade, and with it have the power to harm the Greater Will and its vassal fingers. But Nokron was long since hidden. Its gates were sealed when the stars had ceased to move. Like all members of the Carian royal family, Ranni's fate depended upon the stars, but their celestial cycles had long been suspended after a crushing defeat at the hands of General Radahn, who in his fervor for war had challenged the stars to a battle they could never have won. The victory had earned him the title of Star Scourge, and it was his existence that kept them frozen in place, as well as Ranni's destiny. To reach Nokron and find the Fingerslayer Blade, Radahn would have to be killed in order to free the stars from their bindings. Blaidd and the Tarnished, under direction from Ranni to retrieve the blade, set out to put the plan into motion. Joining other warriors from the lands between, they gathered to defeat the powerful Radahn in the very battlefield where he had defeated the stars, and it was through his death that the celestial bodies were finally freed from their stasis, and with them, the gateway to Nokron was opened. Though Blaidd had given his word to take up his sword once more for the final act in the Eternal City, after the battle against Radahn he was nowhere to be found, and Iji urged the Tarnished to carry out the task alone. But whatever difficulty may have lied in waiting, the assignment was soon accomplished, and the Fingerslayer Blade was now in Ranni's possession. She would soon begin her journey on the dark path that only she could tread. The mystery behind Blaidd's disappearance would soon be learned, as he was eventually found imprisoned in the Everjail, placed there by none other than Iji. Confused by his friend's actions, Blaidd stated that Iji had warned that he would bring nothing but torment to Ranni, and trapped him there in order to protect her. Even considering such an act was unfathomable to Blaidd, for he was a part of her very being, and would never do anything to harm his mistress. He had made a vow to serve no other master than her. But Iji was very aware of the powerful manipulation that the Greater Will could manifest over a subject to carry out their design. As these influences were impossible to fight off, Iji had fashioned a mirror helm, which he wore at all times to protect himself from any such assaults. Iji's protection from any intervention by the Greater Will allowed him the clarity of mind to realize that Ranni's devoted servant had long begun a losing battle. For in his defiance against the will of the Two Fingers, Blaidd was slowly being lost to madness. Against his knowing, Blaidd had been sent with one ulterior purpose: to keep Ranni under the control of the Greater Will. Though he had been fashioned as Ranni's shadow to be her loyal follower and capable of treachery, Blaidd was meant to ultimately function on behalf of the Two Fingers as a safeguard against disobedience, should Ranni turn her back on them. Shadows like Blaidd were designed to go mad should their charge stray from their path. They would be transformed from a loyal follower into a curse that plagued their master. But the Two Fingers did not anticipate the devotion and love Blaidd would develop for Ranni, and despite their force of willpower over him, his loyalty was so unwavering that not even the Greater Will could easily control him to turn against her. Though Iji could see Blaidd's eternal loyalty to Ranni, He knew that it would only be a matter of time before he would be lost to madness. He did not trust Blaidd's devotion to be strong enough to prevent that inevitable turn, and had therefore imprisoned him to prevent any harm falling upon Ranni. Iji had been Ranni's childhood warden and was with her all throughout her life. Even upon outgrowing the need for a guardian, Ranni appointed him as her war counselor, keeping him close to her always. Above all other objectives, Iji's main motivation was to protect Lady Ranni. In their last attempt to right the wrong of Ranni's transgressions against them, the Two Fingers had sent a powerful assassin to eliminate her, commissioned in the very form of her beloved Blaidd. Seeing right through the despicable display, Ranni directed the Tarnished to cut down this last interference. Her anger against her foe was renewed, and with the baleful shadow defeated, she was now able to freely face the Two Fingers. Black Knife assassins had also been sent to kill her loyal guardians. Blaidd, after having escaped from his Evergel cell, in his determination to ensure his mistress was safe, had been ambushed at Ranni's rise. But upon finding her gone and therefore out of danger, he could no longer fight back the madness that had been enveloping his mind, and he finally succumbed to the curse that plagued him. Professing his loyalty to Ranni even in his final moments of clarity, Blaidd died protecting the woman he swore his life to, and through his death upheld his vow that he would never bring her harm. Iji was overcome with remorse at learning of his death. He believed that he had failed Blaidd in doubting his capacity to protect Ranni. Knowing that he would soon be attacked and unlikely to survive, he resigned himself to joining Blaidd in death, awaiting the opportunity to apologize for ever having doubted him. It was through the loyalty of Blaidd and Iji that Ranni was able to take back command of her own fate, and she would not let their deaths be in vain. Along with her newly betrothed lord, Ranni would establish her own order, and it wouldn't be one of gold or life or of soil, but one of the stars and of the moon. Under Ranni's order, she could ensure that nothing like this would ever happen to her again.